young lady to be out alone. Do you live here?
No.
Then you must be visiting here, are you?
My name is Frances Elizabeth Wright. I live at 67 Tivoli Road. I'm lost.
Oh, you're lost.
Could you take me home, please? I'm afraid.
I should say I will. Come on with you.
That's the way it began. Nothing extraordinary. For in a large city like London, a lost child is such a common occurrence that many a far-seeing bobby arms himself with a bag of chocolates in addition to his nightstick. No one suspected that this was the beginning of a case that was to rock all England.
All right, if you insist. I know this man isn't going to do us any good. But what's the use of talking to you? Just as stubborn as your mother.
I suspect we're having visitors. Oh, really?
23 and 27.
Come along, Nebuchadnezzar. I don't think you're quite dressed to receive attractive young ladies.
There, in you go.
Won't you come in?
Mr. Holmes, Sherlock Holmes.
At your service, sir.
Martini. George Martini is my name. This is my daughter, Margaret, who is of the stubborn opinion that you can help her.
It will be a privilege, sir. Oh, may I introduce my very good friend, Dr. Watson?
How do you do?
How do you do, sir?
Oh, yes. Won't you sit down? Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. How can I be of any assistance to you?
This is rather a confidential matter.
Oh, yes, yes. Dr. Watson is both the soul of discretion and my invaluable colleague in all my cases, especially the more delicate ones.
I see. Well, there's this fellow, Richard Trevor is his name, who's been courting Margaret here. A sly one, if I ever saw one. I could tell by the shape of his ears, and the fact that he belonged to that upstart Shield and Castle club.
There was nothing wrong with his ears. They were beautiful, both of them.
Nevertheless, he gave her the impression that he was going to see me last night and ask for her hand in marriage. Instead, the scoundrel sent me some fantastic note about being detained and then never appeared at all.
I want you to find out what happened to him.
What did Mr. Trevor say in his note?
That he would be detained because he had run into a little girl who was lost and was taking her home.
Have you made any inquiries at his home?
Yes, with Father, of course. I don't think it's genteel to go to a man's rooms, even if he is your fiancé.
Quite right. Quite right.
There was no sign of him, but his clothes were all there. He wouldn't run off without his clothes, would he?
No, hardly.
Pure a guess.
A deduction. Just as I deduced that you have a scar on the left side of your head, which you received in a naval battle.
I'll be bound. How did you know that?
Well, a right-handed man normally parts his hair on the left. Your parting is on the right, thereby indicating that you've changed it at some time or another to hide a mark. As to how you got it, that's obvious to me by the fact that you carry on your watch chain the insignia of His Majesty's ship Assault, which everyone remembers distinguished herself heroically off the coast of Africa.
Well done, Holmes. I declare, well done.
Will you investigate Mr. Holmes?
We'll look into the case immediately, Miss Martini. And as soon as we have any information for you, we'll let you know.
I shall be forever in your debt.
Mm-hmm.
Or I will be after I see his bill. Here's our address.
No, that won't be necessary, sir. I saw it marked on your hatband when you came in. If you'll forgive me, sir, a rather extraordinary precaution against the loss of a bowler only worth 2 guineas.
Come, dear.
Not long after moving in with Sherlock Holmes, I had come to the conclusion that his mind was as organized as his housekeeping was not. He was, without a doubt, the most perfect reasoning, observing machine I had ever encountered. And just watching him think had become sheer fascination. I tried to put myself into his brain now and deduce what had happened to the missing Mr. Trevor. Did it occur to you he might have had an accident and even now be lying in a hospital at this very moment?
You, being a doctor, would think of that. But if that were the case, surely the hospital would have informed someone by now.
Maybe he skipped off and left her then. There's no guarantee he won't come back for his clothes or have them sent on to him.
I'd grant that if he hadn't sent that note. A man deserting a girl isn't likely to send a note at all. And if he did, he couldn't conceive, as Mr. Martini put it, of such a fantastic one. The case is more than complex, Watson. And when we solve it, we shall also know what became of the others.
What others?
Oh, Watson, would you pass me my tobacco pouch?
Well, where is it?
It's in the toe of the Persian slipper, under your chair.
All right. There you are.
Oh. Thank you, Watson.
Now, what others?
Well, it's come to my attention during the past 2 weeks that 7 men have disappeared, totally evaporated from the face of London. They had no reason to run away, every reason to stay. Trevor fits perfectly into this fabric.
You mean then that there's more in this than just the disappearance of that young lady's fiancé?
Unless you accept 8 consecutive coincidences. Could you accompany me this afternoon?
Where?
To the last place where Trevor must have been before he met the little girl.
But you don't even know where that was.
I'd say it was the upstart Shield and Castle Club.
Why there?
Well, if you were about to confront a man like Mr. Martini to ask for the hand of his daughter in marriage, what would you do first?
I'd probably have a couple of stiff drinks first.
And if you were a member? At the Shield and Castle Club, eh?
By Jove, Holmes, of course. That's just what I would do.
You see, Watson? You've been of invaluable assistance to me already.
Ah.